Yes, the chamber normally asks for $10,000 cash for their operations. This time they're asking for $11,000. One of the reasons they're asking for an increase is they want to do some work on their website, and they're working on their, basically their internal systems. For example, such as recruitment. They're working on recruitment, on billing their members, on working more towards a customer service-based model with their members. And so they're trying to do a lot of different things to tighten up what they're doing. And the city budgeted $16,000 for the room tax, this particular pot, and we've received it in almost $20,000. So that's the other reason that they felt that $1,000 would be a reasonable request. So, and the letter from the chamber president, Sandy Price, is attached.
Explain the difference between the two pots.
Susan, can you explain the difference between the two pots for us?
The biggest difference is the RTMP funds have to be used specifically. One of the criteria is to actually generate overnight stays in Oakridge. That the transient room tax is a lot more flexible, and that's why this comes out of the transient room tax. The RTMP funds are actually in a different line item, and I just received from them, and I can give it to you. Basically, they gave a mission statement, and they said, they gave their criteria of what that money can be given for. It's kind of like for small groups that say, anybody who's going to do something in this area, they need maybe a few $100, a little bit more, a little bit less, whatever, to put on an event that's going to bring people directly to us, or in our area, and generate some kind of an overnight stay. So that local motels would benefit from that, because that money's coming from that. They just divide it up a little bit. They actually send the monies differently, so it's very easy to differentiate which one goes into the top.
Okay, and this fund, this money is coming from which fund?
The transit room tax is not coming from the RTMP funds.
Which has specific criteria.
Yeah, and I will just, actually what I can do is scan that and I'll email it out to everyone so you can kind of look and see what the mission statement is for the RTMP funds. That's the one that people fill out a form and they ask, they bring it in and ask for some grant money to do.
I wonder what, do we get some sort of rundown on what the $10,000 is used for from the chamber? I mean, do we get a breakdown of that? It just seems like it's such a large chunk of the money that we're giving out.
It is primarily used for wages for the executive director. And they do have a budget, and so, yes, I can get a copy of their budget.
I looked at their budget online from the last budget they had from
Yeah.
2010. It's not, it's pretty,
Well, I'm working with them this year to break down their budget a little more. So, Randy Dreiling is working with me, and I told him that I would help them reconstruct their budget a little so that it's more line by line.
What other project are we spending this money on?
Well, actually, the money, let's say the 8,000 or so that's left over, we haven't really sat down and talked about a project that we as a city would like to work on. And that is something, because so I'm new to this, we're all new to this, so, but yes, we could work on a project. And yes, it is possible, and we're checking, that we could use some of that money possibly for the website, but we gotta put a tourism piece of it. Okay, all right. And so those kind of things, we could do self-promoting pamphlets, and all kinds of different things, but we need to sit down. And more than likely, that would probably fall under the either probably admin committee on getting some ideas of what to do with that additional money, but it is something that can be used.
Mr. Mayor?
Gary? I'm sorry.
With all due respect, Mr. Administrator, the bylaws of the chamber are very clear on how the chamber's budget is supposed to be. created. The Chamber's bylaws specifically say that the Board of Directors of the Chamber each year by November is supposed to generate a budget for the Chamber. In the past, the city administrator, prior to you, developed the budget for the Chamber. And we all know what kind of problems we had in the past. So, with all due respect, Mr. Administrator, it's not your role to create the budget with Mr. Drayling, the Executive Director. The Chamber's budget, according to the Chamber's bylaws, if you read them, the Chamber's budget is supposed to be created or drafted or made by the Board of Directors of the Chamber. Now, that's never happened, at least to the best of my knowledge. You can poll the various members of the Board of the Chamber and ask them whether they are familiar with that process of creating a budget, and I would guess that most of them are not. But that's the way it's supposed to be done.
And that ties in exactly to what I was just saying a few minutes ago, that they're trying to streamline, their processes. And I understand where you're coming from, but ultimately the chamber votes on whatever type of a budget that's presented. And number two, I am an ex officio member of the board, so that means that I believe I could assist him in that, so I don't think I'm out of line in doing that. But the bottom line is, it's ultimately up to the board, to make the decision on the budget. I mean, right. So all I'm doing is just assisting from an administrative standpoint, and that's on him.
Right. That's what Gordon did.
Yeah. So I'm not going to do it for him. I will assist him.
Is this something we have to make a decision on tonight? We just got this. I would like to read it through and do some checking and.
They're basically out of money. Okay, I'll be straight up with you. They're out of money. They haven't paid Mr. Dryling in a couple months. Okay, as I understand. But it's up to you all. This is your decision. Absolutely.
Well,
When
they
do
had,
we,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, when do we usually give them this money?
In July.
Well, no, this is for this year. I'd have to double check that, Councilman, when we've given it to them in the past.
I was gonna say, it would have to have been prior to May of last year, because I've never seen a check.
I think I usually get it in February, March, in the
February.
past.
February, March.
So it would be
okay.
about now.
Yeah.
Counselor Cooley?
I would say we table this because, for one thing, we just received another letter from another group here in town. And I haven't had a chance, I've read it, but I think we need a chance to really go through this and look over it.
What group is that, Councilman?
It's a letter that came to us
One of our
from,
constituents.
Tonight,
yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Address-
And I don't like,
Okay.
making decisions on stuff like
Did
this.
you get a copy of that letter?
Just got it tonight.
No, I didn't get a copy
Okay.
of that letter.
So just a reminder to the public, anything that you are going to give to the council, you must ensure that the city recorder gets a copy, because she is the keeper of the records, okay? So as, we just need to make sure that she gets a copy from one of you.
Counselor?
I've just, I've been, I've done, what is the relationship between the city and Chamber of Commerce? I mean, what is that? I mean, is Chamber of Commerce
Two
a
separate
city?
organizations.
Two separate organizations, but they act as a tourism arm of the community, and we've been working with them for many years.
So we give them $10,000 is just a,
Yes.
It's
It's just money that we get from the county, it's pass-through money. And the council made a decision years ago that this is how they would operate in lieu of having to do the same thing that they're doing. You and I. One,
I just wanted to clarify, isn't that money that you guys give them from the taxes that are collected in all the motels?
Yes.
room tax.
Okay,
two different buckets of the room tax.
right,
That's correct.
but it's all collected at motels, right? It doesn't come from any other government fund?
No,
strictly by tourists.
And it has to be used strictly for tourism,
Right.
is my understanding,
Counselor?
some facet.
this is the same money that we use for concerts in the park and
Well,
tree planting festival.
No, that's a different pot.
That's-
But it is all room tax money.
It's all,
But
yeah.
it's a different pot.
This is money that's used for brochures and maps and not a lot of events, because not a lot of events are put on by chambers,
But
something
the
that
bottom line is the number of years it hasn't been used for tourism, it's been used to pay an executive director.
that
Right.
needs to be discussed some more. Doesn't,
As a motel owner and a collector of room taxes that I give to Lane County, you will say you have two pots of money. You have one pot of money which in the past was divided and the Chamber of Commerce was given. I'm not going to go into that because I do believe you've all, and I hope you've all, got the letter, the last one that came in late. There is also the idea that it is spent on tourism. Now, the way it's being spent in the chamber is wages for a person in the chamber to do the work that most of us on committees do free. There is also a way of spending that money, in which you'll know, Gary, yourself, because we've discussed it. It can be spent in this town for things like the project you're on about that you're going to do for getting people's opinions. Or, survey. You could use that money on the survey. It's because it's all pertaining to how we feel, what we're going to do, and in the end, tourism. To keep the people to come in here rather than just keep on going. I have been here quite some time. Because I am not a member of the Chamber of Commerce, the motel, my business, is blacklisted from the Chamber of Commerce in Oakridge to receive any kind of pamphlets, tourism brochures, etc., etc. Now, in the past, Mr. Gordon Zimmerman, who we're not going to go say whatever we did in the past, the one good thing he allowed me to do, and I will be open and honest with the police chief, etc. here, I was allowed by Mr. Zimmerman to come in here and steal pamphlets with his permission to put in the motel for the name of tourism. My opinion is, if the Chamber of Commerce wants to do tourism, they should advance it not just to their members, but it should be to the businesses of this town.
well, it sounds like we have an interesting discussion. My general policy has been to never act on anything that's handed to me. I don't even read it if somebody's handed it to me at a meeting. Because it's distracting, it's distracting. And unless it's an absolute emergency, we usually I don't act on it. So like the rest of them, we can table it or we can postpone it to the next meeting. If you table it, you have to take it off the table. If you postpone it, you just pick it up next meeting. Counselor?
Quick question, did it cost money for you to join the Chamber of Commerce?
Oh,
Did it
yeah.
cost you money?
Oh, yeah.
How much?
I was in the chamber at the beginning, but there was that much that went on and it just wasn't.
Is it 80 or $100?
It's gone up now.
It's
To put up now.
$100 and then.
I didn't get any benefit.
depending on- And then your number of employees, it goes up.
$78.
So, is
And that
anybody out
helps
here a member?
promote your business.
Is anybody out here a member?
I am.
Do you think it's
I
worth
know
it?
No.
Well, we're not here to punish.
You asked a question.
We are here to.
More businesses in this community do not belong to the chamber
Exactly.
than do belong to the chamber. Now, there's something wrong with that.
Part of the financial
belong
issue
just
is
to the
because there
corporate.
aren't more members, because
Exactly.
most cities depend on their chamber members for the finances that support this chamber.
And if you want to know, go around and ask the businesses who could and should belong, that don't belong, ask them why they don't belong. You all can do that.
I think that's why we need to postpone this. I think we all have some homework.
Is there a motion to postpone to the next
I
meeting?
think we postpone this till.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor, there's no motion on the floor to give it to them, so therefore, if we choose not to act on it, we don't need a motion to postpone it.
You can just postpone it if you want, okay?
You say put it on next week again,
Next meeting.
or next meeting?
That should give everybody a chance to follow up on whatever they want to follow up on and read the letters that come in. And anybody else who wishes to submit letters on this matter to the council, certainly free to do so. James?
Well, perhaps the Chamber of Commerce could compile a list of the good deeds they have done and the help they have given the city over the years. That would help you make a decision. At least clarify it, but at least have somebody from the chamber here to explain
Yes.
what they're doing.
Council, I have heard every year to get a summary of events, of what the council's done, the chamber's done, and a budget, to see how it was spent. And we never, to my knowledge, and maybe I don't know, you're on, I never saw any of that. And it shouldn't be hard to compile that, because you know what you've done during the year, and you know, well, we know why we didn't get a copy of the budget, because they weren't doing the budget. So, anyway, I think we should do that, right? Yes.
I just want to clarify, because I'm getting a lot of looks, I am not on the chamber board at all. I'm not involved in it at all, so a lot of people are looking at me, and I just want to clarify. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, but you were earlier.
I can just feel it.
Daggers from behind.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm not involved in it anymore, or I would stand up and make a comment, but I'm not. So.
Oh, well, I am on the chamber.
There's a chamber.
Are you on the board?
And I am asking, I think Mr. Carl is right. I think there should be better accounting. People that aren't here in this town belonging to the chamber do not really have a good reason. And I think before I gave them any more money, I would be looking into how that money was spent and if it was worthwhile spending.
I will see at the next board meeting, since I am on the board, that they are made aware of these comments, and this isn't a small group, so, and if you have issues like that, particularly issues that people are perceiving how their money's being spent, then they should address it. It's not our problem necessarily. Our problem is just how to handle this situation. All right.
I have a question while you're on the subject. Lane County, they had a grant that they were doing for a similar thing, room tax money, which they're giving to different organizations. And I've heard that they postponed that this year. Is that not true? The county, that's what the county's been telling people, is that they're postponing the grants for the whole 2013.
I think that's a different pot of
Yeah,
money.
that's
That's
a
through the
different
county. That's not this money.
It's out of their budget.
It's there, but I just wonder.
I have information about that, and I'll talk to you later.
Any organization in Oakridge, put in like for the RTMP funds, if it's going to generate an overnight stay. If what you're going to do doesn't, you can put in the other. The other part of the RTMP funds
What's
too.
RTMP?
The rural tourism.
Rural tourism,
Everybody knows that.
Money program.
Money
Yeah,
pot.
I'm just learning all of this and reading on it. It is.
tourism money message.
Yeah, money. That's right. Rural tourism marketing program. And the other part, the transit room tax also, part of the mission statement on both of those, they do overlap a little, is some of the money can be used for beautification too, in order to make it more attractive to come to our town. So, you know, if you have a business and, you know, you're looking to get a little funds like even to paint or something like that, you can apply to get those, for some of these funds to do that. That's what it's there for. It's an easier process, a little less formal. Fill out the applications and then go to the council and they approve.
I don't believe that's ever been done before, correct?
What?
The only money that's ever been publicized to the community that they could apply for was the money that you're talking about, the
Grant.
overnight stays and
Yes, sir.
events. The excess, which you were talking about earlier, that extra 8,000, I don't think this council has ever done anything
We
with
have
that money.
not. That's what I was saying earlier, it's
So,
something new to me
it needs
and
to be-
to all of us.
I'm just
So
learning
where
about
is
these,
it?
and so it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I know this,
I don't
spread it
think-
out, spread the word. And then,
That's why we
here's-
just wonder where it has happened to that excess money from year to year to year, because it's always had excess money.
Well, it sounds like we ought to look at that excess money, because we have a lot of outside
So-
chamber projects that we could be doing.
Yeah.
Some of the money could go to the 4th of July.
I was gonna say, isn't that where some of the money has
Yeah,
gone?
whatever.
Yeah,
In the past
so it was the 4th
was
of
to
July.
the 4th of
Yeah.
July,
Yeah.
and I think one year they bought a snowflake.
That's through the RTMP though, not through the project room.
Now, one of them
No,
last year, I
through
believe
the-
it was the fireworks, did go through the RTMP because it was argued that they didn't necessarily create overnight stays. That was more of a local event,
That's
so that
right.
money,
Yes.
that did come
Yes.
through the, go out through
That's
the
where it should
RTMP.
be.
Anyway, there are other things, we just need to identify what those other things are and start working it that way.
And find that
Okay.
money.
Moving right along.
Can I borrow
Never
your
use